Erev Shabbat Shalom, we're in Parshat Bo. Come to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart. Come, face down the evil empire. And then the Torah says a fascinating verse. It tells us, Leman, so that, Saper, Vincha, Leven Vincha, your children and your children's children, Et asher hitolalti b'Mitzrayim, that which I hitolalti. There are a number of different ways to translate hitolalti. Most common is that which I wrought, that which I did to Egypt. Come to Pharaoh, so you'll have a story to tell when you leave Egypt, and that story we're still telling here today, 3,500 years later. But Rashi doesn't like storytelling. Rashi suggests Leman tesaper levincha leven vincha, so that you can tell the story to your children and your children's children. Et asher hitolalti. He said hitolalti should be rendered as sichakti, as when I played with Pharaoh. When you're trying to free the Jewish people from Egypt, it doesn't seem like it's a time where you should be playing games. But Rashi brings three different proof texts to prove that hitolalti isn't when I wrought, when I caused Pharaoh hardship, but rather when I played with him. And I think we live in a world that takes itself and perhaps ourselves far too seriously. And perhaps what Rashi is trying to say here is that when God plays games, we all understand, not in the sense that Albert Einstein rejected with his famous statement, God doesn't play dice with the fate of the world. God doesn't play games. But playing a game means that there's a certain lightness, a certain willingness to say, I have rules. I'm going to try and work within these rules to win. But I also know how to take things in perspective, how to keep a bigger picture and understand that life is a means to something beyond and not the goal in and of its own right. And I think that's what hitolalti, when Rashi says, sichakti befaro. Pharaoh took himself so seriously. And as it were, maybe we can imagine God coming in with a sense of where can you have a little bit of lightness of heart. And I bless us, particularly those of us who are struggling with yet this fifth wave of Omicron, where here in Israel it seems as if more and more people are getting it, and maybe everyone will get it. You should be vigilant. You should be careful. But we also need to appreciate the place of mischak, the place of lightness, of joy, of a game which rules. We want to follow those rules. We're going to follow those rules. But in a game, if something happens, you understand it's just a game. There's something beyond. I bless us that we have that message to Shabbat. We follow our rules, that we stay safe. We also know that there's something beyond that. And may that bring us a sense of comfort and a sense of joy and a sense of being godlike. God has the capacity or the ability to play even in the most serious situations, even in the face of the most dangerous pharaohs. So too may we. Shabbat Shalom.